Hey, what is up, people? Avercile here, back with the 13th video of the series. Yo, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember what we did in the last episode. I think it was tables, something like that. Yeah, tables. Man, I haven't uploaded in like a month. I guess you could say I just been living life. Um, but we're back, baby. We're back, and we're back with some more videos. I'm gonna try to upload consistently from now on. Just kind of got occupied with some other stuff, but we're back. We're here, ready to go. And I also got today's video planned out. We're going to be talking about variadic functions. And variadic functions they are just functions, but there's unique syntax that we can use to make creating our parameters more easy, depending on what we want to do with our parameters. And I'll explain to you. But first, we're just gonna open up a script and what's this? AI coding is available. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's not for this video. We're gonna go ahead and delete this print statement there, and then. But yeah, how's y'all day going? Hope you guys been doing good. I'm pretty excited to get back into this, get back on that grind. We're in the intermediate series now, so I hope you guys started working on some projects, getting better at the basics, the foundational coding knowledge that you need. That's going to be very necessary. You're definitely going to want to start working on some projects by now, and really just putting what you learned into practice. And I try to do that my best. I try to do my best with that when we do our projects, but I can't, dedicate an hour or two to like make an entire project because that would take a lot of time, right? And it would add up. I can do that separately, maybe in the future. Like if you guys are interested in that, let me know. But for now, we're doing mostly tutorials. I'll do like mini projects. That's just how I kind of like to do it. But yeah, variadic functions. Let's talk about that. So you can create a function. Let's say function my function, and let's say we have parameters a and b, and let's go ahead and just print whatever a and b are, and we're gonna do them with a space between them. So when we call the function, we can then just input our values that we want to put for A and B, and then it's just going to run when we run the function. It's going to go back into the function and say, okay, well, here are the parameter values that we want. So it's going to print the first parameter, A, which is hello. Then we're going to put a comma, so we're going to put a space, and then it's going to go ahead and just print a 5, right? So if we click run, that is, oh, I hope I clicked run. I don't know why my mouse just kind of yeah, but okay, I did click run. Hello 5. There we go. There's a space between them. There we go. Right? Now let's take a look at what a variadic function is. Okay, it's pretty similar, but there's some interesting syntax that we can use, and it includes tables. Right, tables. Learned about tables last episode. So let's go ahead and say print, or sorry, function print my function 2. Wow, the second function. Let's go. Let's say dot dot dot. And you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. What does that mean? Well, I'll show you what it means here in a minute. So let's say local tab equals a table, and we're going to put dot 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 in that table. Then we're going to go ahead and print tab. All right. So what is dot dot dot? Well, dot 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 is just a unique way of saying I want to store just some arbitrary parameters. Like I don't want to give them a name. I could do that. I could say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but I just want to make them useful when I call a function. And here's what I mean by that. So let's go ahead and say my function 2 and dot 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 basically means we can see, look, any. So we can just put any argument that we want, as long as it's a data type, of course. So we can say hello, we can say 5 true, nil, Bob. Got to put Bob in there. And dot 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 is essentially all of these arguments. Because dot 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 just means, well, we can put any argument, and this dot 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 is just going to represent all the parameters that represent these arguments. And so we store these arguments into a table, and then we can print the table that has all of these parameters in it. So when we run, it's just going to print the table. And let's see what's in the table. Oh, I can't click it. Okay. First index, hello. Second index, 5. Third index, true. Fourth, nil. Fifth, Bob. So we just put a random array of data types into our function call here, my function 2. Dot, dot, dot. Essentially what it means is I want any amount of parameters, and I'm just going to store it in this little dot, dot, dot notation. Then I'm going to say, well, local table is equal to dot, 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 and then we have, it's a table, and then it has dot, 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 so X amount of parameters in it. So that when we call the function, the amount of parameters is going to be the amount of arguments that we put. So you could say, in a sense, when we call the function with these arguments, it goes, okay, so dot, 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 sure, local tab equals the dot, dot, dot. Okay, so we're going to put all of these arguments into this table, and those are going to be what the parameters represent. So we could write it another way. We could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 indices. Then we can say, well, let's just put 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 into this table. And then we're going to go ahead and just print the table. So we're going to go my function 2, and each parameter is just going to, it's going to be replaced with the arguments for the function calls. We say that there's 5 parameters and 5 arguments. Makes sense. And then when we actually get into the function, we're going to store. So, all right, we call the function. We now have assigned these parameters the 5 corresponding values. So let's go into the table, and we're going to set these values equal to the parameters. So what are the parameters are? We're going to put all 5 into the table, and those parameters happen to be these 5 arguments, right? Because that's if you watch the function video, you'd know that when you call a function, you're giving the parameter meaning when you use the specific syntax where you put whatever data type you want in the same place that you would put the parameter in when you're making the function. So anyways, so you would say that basically these 5 arguments are just being put into this table, and then we're going to print the table. And that's what we got exactly here. So if we do this, oh, whoopsie. Oh, it's saved. Okay. So let's go ahead and run. It's going to do the exact same thing. We're going to get all 5 of our arguments. But dot, dot, dot basically makes sure that, well, if I added a new parameter here and I said hello again, then we're going to have to make a 6, and then we're going to have to put that into the table. But if we just do dot, 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 we don't have to keep reinserting parameters to represent those arguments. Instead, we can just say, well, dot, 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 and then we can just, put whatever argument we want. So let's do 5, 5, 5. Let's do false this time. Let's do 23. And then if we run, we're going to get all of the arguments right here. There we go, 9 arguments. And there we go. And you're like, well, I want to print each individual value. I don't want to have to print the table. All right, that's cool. Let me show you a way to do that. So let's get rid of these arguments. And let's say, now I'm going to introduce you to something called an in-pairs loop. And an in-pairs loop takes a table. So for index value in pairs, and you're going to get this little notation here where you have to put the table that you're trying to loop through in between this these parentheses. So you're going to tab, because tab is what's the data type that table or tab represents. It's a table. So that's how we know that we can use an in-pairs loop. It has to be a table data type. So for IV in pairs tab do, and essentially what it's going to do is it's going to look through each index So let's write a couple. I'll show you exactly what it is. So like hello 5 true Bob. Let's say we have 4 arguments here. So when we call the function, there are going to be 4 arguments in this table, right? So for IV, so index value in pairs table, so we're looking at this table here, do. So basically what it's going to do is, so you know that we have 4 indices in this table. So it's going to loop through this 4 times. Watch. Print IV. Let's see what that does. And let's run. And boom. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, 5, true, Bob. Hello, 5, true, Bob. What is hello? The first index. What is 5? The second index. What is true? The third index. What is Bob? The fourth index. So what for IV in pairs, this specific table, do print index and then value, is it's going to print the position in the table, and then it's going to print the value of that index in the table. So remember how we printed a table a couple times and you saw that little notation? It was like 1 equals that, 2 equals. Well, that is essentially what it is. It's each index is assigned a specific value, right? So if let me make it easier to understand here. So we could say, let's create a local table 2 equals this. We have 1, 2, 3. Well, I won't do that. We'll do true, false, nil, h. I don't know. We know that this is the first index, and we know that the value of that index is true. This is the second index. Its value is false. This is the third index. Its value is nil. This is the fourth index. Its value is h as a string. That is what v means. V is just whatever the index is set to. So local tab equals this table with a set amount of arguments that we put when we call the function. So in this case, we put 4. So this table is going to have 4 arguments passed in it. Then we're going to loop through each index and its value. And we're going to go ahead and just print whatever index we're at. And then we're going to go ahead and just print the value of that index. So basically, it's going to loop through each position and its value. That's what it does. That's why I just want to tell you right now, in pairs loops are powerful. They are, I would argue, one of the most powerful things that you can do with tables is in pairs loops. And I recommend that you try this out for different things. Remember, it has to be a table, and you have to insert pairs, and then you put parentheses next to pairs, and then you insert the table data type. It has to the data type has to be a table, because it's going to loop through each position and the position's corresponding value. So let me go ahead and stop this game really quick. So I wanna do something interesting before we end this video. So I want you to really understand variadic functions. So let's go ahead and say local part1 equals instance.new part in workspace. And I don't know if I showed you this notation, but basically this has a second argument automatically in this function, in this constructor function. Basically, this is going to be the object that you want to create, and this is going to be the parent. And this is automatically a second argument that you can do. So this is like where you want to store the object that you created. So it's basically the same thing as saying part1.parent equals workspace, right? It's the same thing as saying that. So I just like doing that. Then we're going to say part2, local part2. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy and paste. We're going to create 4 parts. 5 parts, actually. We're going to create 5 parts. And, I mean, there is a simpler way to do this, but I'm not going to make things too complicated. So, we have 5 parts, and when we run the game, they will insert into the workspace, and they'll all spawn at the origin. Right there. 5 parts. And we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. right? All right, cool. So what am I trying to do here? Well, we're gonna say local function del parts. Here's the thing. I could do part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. And remember, sorry, I actually shouldn't do it that way. I should do P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, right? That's what I meant to say. These are not the same. The variables are not the same as the parameters. And what we do is we'd say for, actually we'd have to do local tab equals, and we'd say P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. And we'd say, all right, well, for IV in pairs tab we'll do V, all right, well, actually we'll do task dot wait 2, and then we'll do V destroy. That's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to do del parts, and we're going to pass part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5 as our arguments. And here's essentially what I'm trying to do. I want to spawn in 5 parts, and I want them to slowly delete one at a time, 2 seconds apart. It's going to loop through that table. Boom, all the parts are gone. So what I did is I created 5 parts, and I want to put them in the workspace. It spawned 5 parts at the origin, stacked on top of each other. Then I made a function with 5 parameters that, as you may know, represent the 5 parts. Then I made a table to store the parameters in, so that when I later replace them with my arguments, I can store them in this table so that I can loop through the table and the index and the values. So for IV in pairs tab, and notice we're talking about that table, do. We're going to wait 2 seconds, and it's going to go, all right, so first index, all right, P1, index is 1, value is P1, which is actually part 1, which is this. We're going to go ahead and wait 2 seconds. We're going to destroy V, which is the value, which is part 1, because P1 is part 1, which is that. So we're going to destroy part 1. Then we're going to go to the next index. It's going to loop through again. Let's go back up to the top. All right, so now we're at, up here, in this loop. Now we're at the second index. All right, what's at the second index? P2, which is part 2, which is this part 2. We're going to wait 2 seconds, V destroy, which is part 2 destroy. Third index, we're going to, you get the point, right? So you're going to loop through the third index, which is P3, which is part 3. Boom, we're going to task.wait 2, V destroy, next loop, I is going to be 4. It's going to do the same thing until I equals 5, and then it's just going to stop the loop after that. And that's essentially what happened. Because that's a useful thing that you can do. Or sorry, I haven't talked about the Variadic function part. So what we're going to do is we're going to do dot, dot, dot. We're going to do dot, dot, dot. And that's basically the same thing, right? Oh my gosh, I literally didn't even have to do nothing. Right, just delete that stuff and it does the exact same thing. That's why variadic functions are useful. Because if you want to set your parameters into a table and loop through that table, for instance, you don't gotta write a bunch of parameters to represent each argument. You can just write dot 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 and then just store these later when you call the function. It's just so much easier to do that, and that's why variadic functions are useful. And that's also why for IV and pairs loops are useful, because they loop through tables. Super powerful. Okay, I recommend you go ahead and practice. If you don't want to learn more about variadic tables tables functions, do at least please learn more about in-pair loops and learn the syntax, learn how to use them more. They're so powerful. Please learn more about in-pairs loops. They're so powerful. But yeah, that's gonna about wrap it up for this video, folks. I hope this helped out a little bit. Still trying to get used to the making videos and stuff, trying to explain stuff, break it down. I hope I did good this video. Let me know. I don't know. Next episode, I'm excited. It's gonna be a little bit of a long one because we're gonna really get into theory. This is the intermediate series after all. So we're going to be talking about what is the difference between server and client, and what are some of the features like network ownership, all sorts of different stuff. And you're really going to understand what server scripts are, what local scripts are. I'm gonna talk about the services. It's gonna be probably the biggest, sorry, definitely, without a doubt, the largest video that I'm gonna have to make. It might be over an hour long, but by the end of that episode, you're gonna understand Roblox Studio very well. Hope you guys are looking forward to that. But yeah, sorry for not uploading for a month, guys. My bad. Try to make sure that I upload at least 3, 4 times a week. Ideally I'd like to upload 7 times a week, but it's just, sometimes stuff pops up. Sometimes I have stuff I gotta deal with, and I can't make videos all the time. And to be perfectly honest, sometimes I don't feel like making videos. I'd rather just chill out and enjoy my free time, but sometimes I'm like, you know what, I kind of want to make some videos. I want to continue this series. I got a little bit of motivation. So hopefully we can keep up a streak, get back into the flow state, get you guys becoming better programmers, and help you guys towards building that big dream project of yours or whatever you want to do with scripting. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it helped you out. But until next time, I will see you later. Peace.